We're a society in crisis. But what if we turned our disagreements into discussions, conflicts into opportunities? What if we acted a bit more civil? You see, civility can sweeten even the most bitter conversations. And at SHRM, we know people and businesses work best when we choose civility. So join me in starting 1 million civil conversations, because civility is a language we can all understand.
Hello, and welcome to the 4th annual Better Places Workplaces Challenge Cup presented by SHRM Labs, SHRM's Workplace Innovation Lab and Venture Capital arm. I'm Steve Brown, Chief People Officer of La Rosa's Inc., and I am the 2024 Better Workplaces Challenge Cup Ambassador and your host for these virtual events. Thanks for joining us. A special thank you to all of our 2024 chapter and state council partners for their support. Our friends at the Eastern Panhandle Society for Human Resource Management are hosting some exciting upcoming events. You can scan the QR code here on the screen to register. Join Austin SHRM for a transformative experience at their annual HR conference designed to empower professionals with the latest insights and strategies in HR. You can scan their QR code here on the screen to register for that. As a reminder, this first round consists of 5 segments, each focused on a different category within HR. From here, 5 will emerge as the best in category, winners advancing to the semifinals. The top 3 from the semifinals will then battle for the 2024 Cup Live at SHRM's annual conference held this June in Chicago, just a few weeks away. We hope you can join us there. Let's get this 5th segment started. Today's focus will be on HR operations solutions. You'll find in the chat the criteria these startups will be judged on today. And don't forget, there is a public voting component. So after you listen to each company's pitch, you can cast your vote using the link in the chat for your favorite solution. The company with the most votes at the end of the segment will be named the People's Choice. Please note that the public vote will not have any final influence over the judge's decision. This event does qualify for 2 PDCs towards your SHRM CP or SCP certification, and we will provide the code at the end of the event. Now, help me welcoming our judges for today. First is Mario Plata, co-founder and CEO of PeopleMe. Then we have Don Panico, Chief People Officer at Mitchell Martin Incorporated, and Steve McElfresh, CEO and founder of HR Futures. Welcome to the stage, judges. Thanks for joining us. Now let's get started. Please welcome our first participant, Bo Descarga, founder and CEO of Better Team.
A 2022 ILO report shows that over 700 million professional workers are in the Asia-Pacific region. It's the same report that also found that unwanted resignation in this industry have been averaging 54% over the past 5 years, which means that a company with 1,000 FTEs is basically losing 540 employees yearly, and with the cost of recruiting and training being at least 72% of an employee's annual salary in APAC, this company is losing $4 million annually. Hi, my name is Bo, and I am the founder and CEO of Better Team. We are an early warning tool for employee sentiments and resignation risks in APAC. We're helping our clients identify employee resignation risks in their organization, its impact in their business and financials, and provide them insights to mitigate them effectively using AI. Unmitigated resignations in the market we serve have caused our clients a 39% dip in productivity, equating to over $4 billion loss in annual revenue. We need to manage this. Today, HR fails to become strategic partners to their stakeholders, and that's because they need to deal with disparate, clunky platforms that usually lead to inadequate data and reporting of the challenges at hand. Better Team comes as a solution to this major HR operation pain point. We help HR to be effective strategic business partners. What we do is we digest large volumes of employee data, enabling us to predict an organization's potential attrition volume, the profile of those potential resignations, its impact on the business, and the revenue. We do this by connecting several enterprise systems into our platform, which allows us access to historical employee data for our algorithm to digest and learn. Today, we can seamlessly connect to over 170 systems, and the logos on your screen are logos that can already work with our platform. Our clients subscribe to us because of our frictionless onboarding process, which doesn't require software installation on their equipment and network. And unlike our competitors, Better Team uses passive and active data to model our predictive algorithms, enabling us to deliver a 13% more accurate prediction of employee resignation risks and its impact on financials. Since our launch last year, we have onboarded 13 enterprise clients, which includes public companies such as EY, Banpu, TDCX, and StarTech, to name a few. There are over 28,000 employees coming in and out of our platform right now, representing a month-on-month growth of 14%. The problem we're solving at Better Team is personal to me. Before founding Better Team, I was a senior HR leader for JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, and Accenture, amassing over 15 years of experience in HR, leading to my founding of the solution. My co-founder and our CTO, Ray, has over 15 years of experience in technology development, data science, cybersecurity, and building technology team. We have observed a trend in which HR and employers are investing in data, analytics, and tools to empower and engage employees, while obviously optimizing operations. This investment has a high ROI, particularly in the current global talent market that we are in right now, which opens the opportunity for Better Team. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer questions.
Great presentation, Bo, and welcome to the stage.
Thank you, Steve. Good morning, everyone.
Dawn, why don't you start us off?
Sure. So, Bo, you talk a little bit about the systems and the data. Can you talk a little bit more specifically about the indicators and some of the things that you're looking for to help us to understand who could potentially be leaving or what might indicate a lower level of engagement?
Right. Thank you for the question, Don. So in essence, Better Team pretty much uses all of the data that are available on your HR system, payroll system, learning management system, databases. Just on top of my head, we're looking at marital status, the education profile of these folks, their gender, the number of overtime hours that they've been doing. Like, are these employees traveling? The type of schedules, how those schedules are 120 data features. And these are just some of those features that we're looking at the moment.
Thank you, Bo.
Great.
Thank you.
Mario, we'll go over to you.
Thanks a lot. Bo, I have a question regarding market expansion strategy. Or no, better this one first, about the you aim to address unplanned employee resignations, which have historically reduced your client productivity by billions of dollars over years. But with many competitors that offer analytic tools embedded and existing in HR packages, how could Better Team specifically differentiate itself to deliver much greater impact beyond the perks and plays that you can do with the data integration with other more general HR tools using AI and big data analysis?
Right. Thank you, Mario. So it is important to note, Mario, that Better Team is not competing with any HR systems out there. We're not a productivity tool. We're not a payroll system. We're not an HR system. We are pretty much a third-party system that is heavily focused on digesting big data. In fact, Better Team only works by getting all of these existing systems to work together, because the current status of the market now is that you got this SAP not talking to Oracle, Oracle not talking to Workday, and all of those other things. And so we're coming in as an integrator for all of these systems and using all of those data that are readily available in those systems with deliver prediction. We are totally different against all of these existing systems out there, primarily because we can work with different data sources. Unlike these ones that can only work within the data that are readily available within their own ecosystem. So that's really how different we are against those that are existing out there.
Great. Okay, Steve, over to you.
Hey, thank you, Bo. Great job. The area I'm very interested in. I've been doing predictive analytics for a long time. I want to know how you derived your algorithm around prediction, and to what extent and what way do you re-verify that with new clients?
In terms of the algorithm, there are several machine learning algorithms that we are using. As of our Q1 business review, we are working on 6 algorithm in delivering the prediction. So these are different algorithms that we built in-house. And it's a combination of all of these 6. Now, in terms of, you're asking about validation, Steve, is that correct?
Yes.
So in terms of validation, we are tracking, obviously, whether the prediction that our algorithm predicted happened or not. And we have devised a way in monitoring that by asking HR, our clients, to fill out the form, sort of like a stay conversation, which then enables us to keep track of all of these prediction, whether they happened or not.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Bo. Now we'll let the judges
Thank you.
write down their notes as well as their scores on their judging sheet. While they do this and take care of some notes, how can attendees find out more about Better Team?
Sure. So you can find us online at www.betterteam.com. Better Team is spelled with 2 E's. I will also leave my LinkedIn profile in the chat box, just in case you guys want to reach out and to learn more.
All right, Bo, thank you for being here. Let's
Thank
bring
you,
to
Steve.
the stage our next participant. Next, we have Zen Ali, co-founder and CEO of Centuro Global.
I'm Zan Ali, and today I'm presenting to you Centuro Global, the world's only one-stop shop for global expansion. When companies expand into new markets or operate in multiple jurisdictions, a host of compliance risks follow, and HR teams typically bear the brunt. You need to think about managing the relocation of team members moving between markets, visas, tax implications, employment law, payroll, and health and safety needs, and more. The risk for getting this wrong can be huge. For example, in the UK, the penalty for companies who hire workers without the right visa is up to $75,000 per employee. Understanding the regulatory landscape in different countries can be time-intensive, expensive, and fraught with error. Google's unreliable, whilst big firms charge top dollar just for information that they can't be relied on to deliver quickly. This can completely disrupt business operations. So what is the solution? Well, we offer the only 360-degree toolbox on the market. Instead of chasing a disparate collection of advisors and paying hefty fees for the privilege, our platform delivers all the information you need on a self-serve basis. You can also request a multitude of services and track delivery all through one system. We make procuring professional services as easy as ordering and tracking your food delivery at the click of a button. We have a variety of tools, including an AI visa assessment tool, a cost of living calculator, and an AI chatbot to explain all your legal, HR, and compliance needs. This is not something that any other single solution can offer, and nobody else is leveraging AI for global expansion like this. Our competitors include traditional large consulting firms such as the Big Four and law firms who lack the speed, the tech, and the efficiency of Centuro. Other tech platforms on the market only service one line, such as visa and immigration or employment law, and do not combine all services into one platform. The majority of platforms are also typically more case management, whereas we support with AI-powered planning tools, which we complement with our service offering. Working with everyone from startups to corporates, we serve over 250 customers today, including HR and legal teams from major international tech companies like Deal and SEMrush, as well as fast food chain Five Guys. And the only way is up. I'm the CEO and a lawyer by background, having helped Uber launch in London. My co-founder, Asma, previously founded an immigration firm and scaled it to 50 offices around the world before exiting. Nick Savage previously led Vimeo's finance operations for the world outside of North America. And Rakshit is our head of product and an experienced operator, having graduated from the renowned IIT in Mumbai. Centuro brings a new solution to the market to alleviate all concerns when it comes to anything cross-border and international. Thank you very much.
Thanks for that presentation, Zen, and welcome to the stage. For this round, Dawn, would you like to get us started?
Sure. Great presentation. Thank you so much. I guess my question to you would be full life cycle of the immigration process. So from the initial process all through the end, does it manage? Because we're working with employees when they're, getting their H-1 through then green card sponsorship and so forth. How does the product bring us through that employee life cycle process?
Yeah, it's the entire life cycle. So we have logins for HR managers, you have logins for the employees themselves, so they can track individual applications, that includes dependents. So we track the end-to-end process, and it's not just the immigration, it's the relocation, and then wider in terms of employment law. So there's information in the platform, so you can ask questions, you can get recommendations, and then when you request a service, we can provide that service, and it's all tracked. So if you're doing things in multiple countries, for example, the US, UK, France, Japan, Mexico, suddenly in your dashboard, you can manage all your entire workforce. Who are we sending where? What are the key milestones? Are they going to be able to get the visa in time because we're sending them in for a particular reason, whether it's a project, whether it's to launch an office? And there's also the international remote work component. So we also support with that. So it's not just the visas, it's also the tax. And then considering, do you need an entity or could you use an employer of record? So we're kind of amalgamating the whole end-to-end life cycle.
Thank you.
Great. Next question over to you, Steve.
Great. By the way, solving a fabulous, problem that we're all facing with the work from anywhere circumstance today. You presumably have partner relationships with many local council or regional council. What is your fee sharing with them? How does that work? Obviously, what I'm pointing to here is, how objective and independent.
Yeah, we've got a local council globally, and we have different kind of criteria. So we have multiple council depending on their expertise. We vet them thoroughly. In terms of fee sharing, we tend to get preferential rates for them. And they also support us with data, so they support us with all the local, rather than us having to pay extensive fees globally to get all of this information. When we keep it up to date, it's got to be accurate. We spent years putting the data together, but if it changes tomorrow and it's not on the platform, that causes issues. So we've kind of got a good system there where we've got partners globally, and because we get those discounted rates, they tend to be mid-sized boutique firms anyway, so they're quite competitive, really high quality service, which enables us to have that competitive edge when you bring the technology in. And then we also give them the technology so they can use it themselves. And because they're local council, they only have expertise in their country, whereas their clients may have needs in multiple. So this allows them to globalize their offering effectively as well.
Great. Mario, last question in this section, over to you.
Thanks, Zane. Well, understanding, compliance is a big headache for distributed and global organizations, but accuracy and update of the regulatory environments and laws and that are updated daily worldwide. I would like ask you a bit about how you ensure on such a global scale that you are compliant with, and what is your system in place to be updating constantly? I assume your global partners are part of that reach, and connected to that question is, how global is that reach? I mean, where can you be assuring in which regions of the world that you are being compliant with a high certainty?
Sure. So we have an in-house content team who full-time work on, ensuring the accuracy of the data. We've got various alerts set up for government websites. Anytime any kind of regulations, rules change, we get those in. And we've currently supported clients with actual services via the product in over 80 countries, but we have data for over 170. And we have local partners in pretty much every country. So we get regular updates from them. Within the system itself, we have a date stamp. So if you're looking at any particular country, it's slightly separate to the AI because there's a database you can access. You can go in and look at countries and you can see when it was last updated. Some rules don't change at all for a long period, and then they do. This year, there's been a ton of changes globally, and particularly with immigration, lots of rule changes. So we've been doing a lot of work to keep those up to date. So it's an in-house team dedicated to ensuring the accuracy. We've got timestamps on the platform, and then we work with local partners in over 170 countries to, fact check, provide us with that data. And then because we've got a large language model chatbot, our team are constantly asking it questions and reconfiguring the algorithm, because sometimes when you make the updates, the AI doesn't always give you the answer you're looking for. So that's a constant iteration that we're working on. And we always have a disclaimer, but fact check it with one of our experts before you completely rely on it if you're going to go ahead with a visa application, for example.
Great. Thank you for all the information, Zen. And by the way, I have to say, it's cool that you have the Michael Jackson album behind you. Very, very cool. Has nothing to do with the competition. I just dig it. While the judges write down some notes and their scores, how can people learn more about Centuro Global?
So our website is www.centuroglobal.com. And I can drop my LinkedIn as well. I'll copy Bo came before me.
Great. Excellent. Thanks so much for being here. And let's bring up our third participant. Next, we have Piyush Peshwani, co-founder of eLocker.
Hi. Hello, everyone. I'm the co-founder and CEO at eLocker. eLocker is a digital and verifiable credentials platform. I've been working in the past on creating digital public infrastructure in India, and DPI in ID payments and tax systems has been a game changer in India. eLocker was started with a simple problem that HR teams were facing in India. Up to 5% ex-employees have to be verified each month. This number can actually sometimes go to 10% also. Now, HR teams get bombarded with emails and reminders. It takes a lot of time and hassle to reply. Plus, it's a distraction because it's not productive HR work. Verification emails, employee data over verification emails is not secure. Sometimes it may be done without consent. After the end of this exercise, there is no record of verifier and ex-employee mapping. And a lot of this distraction can lead to delayed verifications and lost opportunities for employees. So we came up with a simple solution of verification and issuance of verifiable credentials. It just takes an organization a few seconds to issue a verifiable credential that the ex-employee can have for life. This has several benefits. First of all, it's secure because the verification happens over email. Secondly, it's authentic because the trusted source is the organization. Plus it's privacy compliant because the ex-employee gets notifications, plus she or he can also turn on explicit consent settings. You can generate verifiable experience certificates also from these credentials. Plus, a lot of employees, especially in low-income and mid-income countries, those in the gig economy, they do not get any employment credentials after they leave their jobs. So for the first time, they can actually get these credentials which they can use for their life. Other benefits are that an organization can know where their ex-employees have joined. They can get attrition insights. They can know which competitor their employees are joining. They can essentially also get information about how many people got verified every day, every month. And finally, they can actually take an anonymous survey. The ex-employees can take an anonymous survey, and the organization can get results on 8 key parameters along with the percentile. So they can know that, okay, for our organization, the problem is relationship with manager. We need to fix that. So this is as far as the short-term benefits are concerned. But the larger eLocker vision is to create DPI for India and other low-income, mid-income countries. How we imagine things in 5 years from now is that organizations will issue these employment credentials, and for an ex-employee or an employee, they can see all their credentials at one single place from not only multiple organizations, but from education institutes, from other issuing authorities as well, which could be government, public sector, or private sector. And mobile phone will become a wallet of verifiable documents and credentials. Employers as well as service providers like banks, insurance companies will be able to verify these credentials. The early eLocker impact has been that hundreds of organizations have started benefiting from eLocker in India, and 1,800 issuers and requesters have verified directly on eLocker. More than 23,000 organizations have benefited from verification, and over 2 million credentials have already been issued on eLocker. So we look forward to have you join us in taking this impact of eLocker far and wide. Thank you so much.
Great presentation. Thank you, Piyush. Welcome to the stage. Steve, would you like to get us started with the questions this time?
Sure. Good to meet you, Piyush. Expanding beyond India, whether it be, Southeast Asia or Europe or America, is substantially dependent on network effects. It can be extremely valuable, but only if a lot of other people are doing it. How do you make that move, or do you end up being focused on your roots in India?
Piyush, take yourself off mute.
Yeah, I'm so sorry for that. So, Steve, when we started this in India, we definitely wanted to create a network effect from day one, but we learned that that is something that doesn't work. So, we designed the platform in such a manner that there are sufficient asynchronous benefits for an organization to be on eLocker. Even if there is a single organization, all the initial set of benefits that I listed, they would still accrue. They would be able to not have to reply to emails. The verification will be secure. They will get attrition insights, etc. Slowly and gradually, when more and more organizations join the network, it starts becoming valuable. But we don't want to wait till then. We want to reach out to, so this year we want to reach out to 12 different geographies, which are primarily in Asia only, where we go and we start acquiring a few organizations and slowly help them imagine the network benefits in the long run, where multiple credentials can be issued from different organizations.
Thank you.
Mario, you're up next.
Thanks. Nice to meet you, Piyush. I wanted to ask a bit about your strategy and how does the platform as well encourage uh, user adoption, and consistent engagement across different demographics to while maintaining ease of access to verified credentials. Because of course this tool would be useful as long as you build a large network of people having their digital credentials to check and the companies adopting it. So what is your strategy for adoption?
So, Mario, our strategy has been to, so in India, what we did is in the last couple of years, our mission was to go out and educate 10,000 organizations on what are the benefits of eLocker. And we are seeing good results. A good percentage of these organizations have started using eLocker. The second thing that we do is when it comes to on a marketplace, there are issuers and there are verifiers. So we keep eLocker completely free for issuers. For an issuing organization who have to issue these credentials to ex-employees, it's completely free because we want people to get empowered with these credentials. The business model is that it's the verifier, which could be the new employer or a bank, or for that matter, any other service provider who pays for these verifications. So this way it helps to kind of go to market. In the new geographies also, we will have a similar strategy where we'll go out and educate through various channels and keep it free for them.
Great. Dawn, you're up next.
Great, wonderful presentation. I think of something like the work number that works very well in the United States and makes these types of checks and references very quick because everything right now is very much about timing and accuracy. So can you talk to me a little bit about, how you make sure that all the information is accurate and secure?
Yeah. So this is a very good question, Don, because work number is definitely something which has worked well in the Web 2 world.
Hmm.
So if anybody just Googles for this concept of verifiable credentials, one would understand that there are provisions to have this information decentralized. We don't want to claim, so unlike work number, which is a large database, we don't want to claim ownership of any data or make large databases. The way it works is that the information can actually be issued and remains with the individual. And when a verification request is made, an encrypted data packet flows from the issuing organization to the verifying organization. So that can take care of a lot of security and privacy aspects. So we have designed it for future because data privacy and data security is going to become more and more important, and we just cannot have centralized databases which are risky. I mean, we have had issues of data breach, etc., with those centralized systems. And Don, there was a second part to your question. Sorry, I missed that.
Nope, I think you answered everything. I was just asking about the security as well, but I think you got everything. Thank you.
Thanks, Don.
Thanks, Piyush. While the judges write down the notes and their scores, how can people find out more about eLocker?
Yeah, so we are at elocker.io. Elocker is spelled with an E shifted in the beginning instead of from the locker. And they can also write an email to us at partner@elocker.io. IO stands for input and output.
That's awesome. Thanks for being here. Let's bring up our fourth participant. Next, we have Daniel Deutsch, co-founder of Hey Data.
Hey everyone, I am Daniel Deutsch, co-founder of Hey Data, and I am here to show you our solution that is going to completely change the game in compliance. Nowadays, smaller organizations are heavily impacted by compliance costs, spending up to 8 times more per employee than large organizations, which is 3.3 thousand per employee per year, and this is steadily increasing. Alone GDPR non-compliance can lead to huge financial penalties, which can be up to 4% of your global revenue or 20 million, whichever is higher. So it is tough out there for SMBs. Either they spend huge amounts of money on lawyers or somehow learning how to do it on their own and spending hundreds of hours on internal resources. And even software cannot really help because it's designed for enterprises. And this is exactly where we enter the game. The Hey Data platform is tailored specifically for SMBs, offering a way to achieve compliance easily for a simple, transparent monthly subscription. While building our solution, we had to consider who is going to use it. And more often than not, this is done by HR managers who are already dealing with a lot of different tasks like managing the payroll or hiring new employees. And adding this responsibility of compliance is just too much. But with our platform, it is manageable, making compliance quicker and easier. Simply by connecting all your data points within your company, we make your company GDPR compliant and guarantee that you stay compliant forever. Here we start with our audit. This generates an automated GDPR checklist that assigns compliance tasks to all relevant users. Also, trainings can be assigned to your employees. And finally, you can also integrate the vendors you work with for an automated risk assessment. In fact, it is so easy that our customers love us. In just 4 years, we acquired over 1,000 customers, amounting to 3 million in ARR, bringing us to the brink of profitability. But that is not all. Even after 4 years, 95% of these customers are still with us. To summarize, if you are in a company and you are working in any way with European companies, you need to comply with GDPR regulations. And more regulations are coming worldwide. And this trend shows a growing need for comprehensive compliance solutions such as Hey Data. So join us on this journey to make compliance as easy as possible for everyone. Thank you, and looking forward to your questions.
Great presentation, Daniel, and welcome to the stage. Mario, would you like to get us started with the questions?
Sure. Daniel, how are you doing? A great presentation. As it is a direct competitor, let's say, or similar competitor, another startup pitched already in this competition, I'm going to ask the similar question. What is your strategy to ensure global compliance to be updated, understanding that this is something that changes daily, and what is your global reach to assure this compliance as well?
Thank you, Mario, for the question. So we have also an internal team that is constantly looking at the compliance regulation out there. I mean, at the moment, we are mainly focusing on GDPR compliance, but of course, there are other frameworks like the UK regulation, CCPA in California, and so on. And as soon as we go into these markets, we will also ensure that we have like experts that constantly will check the regulations, so that our documentations, our audits, and everything stays up to date, so that our company, our customers can have peace of mind in using our solution. I hope that answers the question.
Dawn, you're up next.
Great. Right now, you're just in the EU. Do you have any plans to expand beyond that in the future?
Yes, thank you, Dawn, for the question. Actually, we have customers all over the globe, but these customers are working with European customers. So they have B2B contacts in Europe and so on, and therefore they also need to be GDPR compliant. But yes, we are also looking into other frameworks to go global, because in the end, most of the frameworks follow the same blueprint. There is like an audit, policies that need to be signed, trainings that need to be assigned to the employees inside the companies. And therefore, yes, we're looking into it, but step by step.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Great. And Steve, close us out for this section.
Sure. Greetings, Daniel. But first of all, as a data nerd, it's hard to not get excited about a place called Hey Data. So I appreciate that. Your materials emphasize the legal environment, and you've got your legal resources. But in the SMB world, there's a high variability in the technical competence and abilities. And obviously with GDPR, there's issues of access control and architecture of systems. What's your ability to provide any support or guidance on that technical side?
Very good question, Steve. Thank you. So first of all, we have different packages. For example, there are some companies that use the same processes for the last 20 years and they don't change any of their tools and so on. For them, we have a basic package which does like the audit, does the documentation and so on, and then they can stay basically GDPR compliant. But of course, there are a lot of fast-paced companies out there who change regularly their processes, establish new departments, change their tech stack every year. And for these, we have like enterprise packages because these companies need urgent support, fast responses, and top-notch legal support. And therefore, like this, we divide it into different packages so that companies can easily choose in which package they fall so that we can help them in the end the best possible way that they need to. Does that help?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. We'll now let the judges write down their notes and their scores on their sheets. And while they're doing that, how can attendees find out more information about Hey Data?
Yeah, I will say the same as the last participants. www.heydata.eu, this time not .com, please. And I can also drop my LinkedIn. Or if you want to write an email, hey@heydata.eu.
Great. Thanks for being here. And let's bring up our fifth participant for today, Jocelyn King, founder and CEO of Virgil HR.
Hi, my name is Jocelyn King, and I'm the CEO and founder of Virgil HR. Employers have to comply with thousands of ever-changing federal, state, and local employment and labor laws, creating a complicated legal landscape for HR to navigate. This creates significant challenges for employers and is a multi-billion-dollar-a-year problem across the US. So how's HR handling this problem today? Not efficiently. They're Googling legal requirements online, maybe subscribing to email alerts, are engaging with attorneys, or are researching in databases. But the problem with these methods is that they're manual, time-consuming, cause a high risk for error, or in the case of attorneys, is expensive. So along came Virgil HR. Virgil HR offers an interactive technology that provides instant prescriptive employment and labor law guidance to HR professionals, so they're not spending time researching or exhausting funds in legal fees. In addition to our resource center, which includes an employee handbook builder, a multi-state comparison tool, templates, legal updates, and access to attorneys, we also offer a smart chatbot. Unique to any solution out there, our smart chatbot allows HR to submit questions and analyzes what employment and labor laws apply to day-to-day HR tasks, such as leave requests, terminations, or reasonable accommodations. As an example, let's say an employee is requesting paternity leave in Massachusetts. The user will submit the question, and the chatbot will in turn start asking diagnostic questions. This helps it determine what federal, state, and local employment and labor laws apply to this individual employee at hand. And what's neat is after the fact, it then provides prescriptive step-by-step guidance to the user on exactly what they need to do to be compliant with applicable laws. What sets us apart from our competitors is the fact that we are a tech-forward, automation-driven solution that provides real-time guidance and legal analysis in the moment. We bring a fresh perspective to compliance in what is today a very archaic environment. We're focused on employers between 10 and 2,500 employees, of which there are about 8 million in the US, and expect to displace legal fees and settlement awards associated to malcompliance. Our customers love our tool, rating their satisfaction a 4.75 out of 5, and they range between employers with less than 50 employees to employers with more than 10,000 employees, including Smart Recruiters and Piedmont Airlines. In addition to my 15 years of experience managing HR departments, we have a phenomenal team with a wide range of experience to include the NLRB, the EEOC, and large tech companies with a focus on AI. And lastly, we have a group of incredible investors and advisors supporting us every step of the way. Look, compliance is all about ensuring people are treated as people. Join us as we revolutionize the way HR tackles compliance.
Thanks so much for that presentation, Jocelyn, and welcome to the stage. Dawn, why don't you kick us off for this section?
Thank you, Jocelyn. Really enjoyed the presentation, and compliance is definitely something that I know I deal with often. The chatbot looks really cool, but I have a question. One of the things that we are always so concerned with is being proactive rather than reactive with our compliance, and not having to do those, looking out for those emails and those other things that are coming down the pipeline. How does this tool help us with that proactive? Like if there's going to be a law coming down the pipeline in the next 2 to 3 months, how would I be able to see that for that state or that locality, etc.?
Jocelyn, take yourself off mute.
Thanks. There are a couple of ways. The first is we have a legal updates feature. So we notify our customers in 3 different ways. The first is an email summary once a week. The next is actual announcements in our app. And the third is a compliance calendar where you can track all laws by their effective date, by state, by legal topic. It could be minimum wage or some type of leave, for example. And what we also do is when there's some type of task that needs to be done, like for example, this FTC ban on non-competes, there's a notice that has to be provided to employees and former employees. A task is automatically created for you, and you'll receive an email for that. Another way that we're proactive as well is we can actually integrate into your HRIS, and our chatbot will follow the user around. So when they're about to make a decision that has a legal consequence, like a pay change in California, for example, requiring a notice to an employee, our chatbot automatically pops up. It analyzes what laws are applicable to that specific employee that they're doing work for, and then lets them know, hey, this is what you need to do.
Great, thank you.
Steve, over to you.
Okay, hello, Jocelyn. This is a business risk question. I'm sure there are notices somewhere in your materials saying not legal advice, consult your local attorney, but the fact is you are going to be perceived as providing legal advice. People will act on that advice. What's your protection against malpractice claims and the like, and joint liability, so forth?
Yeah, so we're very careful. Everything in our product is informational in nature and not necessarily advice, right? So in our terms and conditions, we have, the terminology around our responsibility versus the customer's responsibility. But on every page of our product, we also have a disclaimer as well. We're not a law firm. We're not substituting as a law firm. This is general information and not legal advice. You should seek counsel. Our customers do have the opportunity to speak with our labor and employment attorneys as well, but that is, again, informational in nature, and there is a line that we draw. If someone were to come to us and say, I want to fire this employee, should I do it? We would refer them to their legal counsel at that point in time.
Thank you.
Mario, last question, over to you.
Thanks, Steve. Hi, Jocelyn. This question is related a bit about the business model and the market expectations. I understand you are actually 4 employees and you have roughly 25 paying customers at the actual stage from the previous info. But you seek to target around 3 or 5% of the total market. That would amount to around 300,000 companies in the US from the calculations I make. What is your strategy to assure, scalability, both, commercially, customer support? I understand you have some partnership agreements in place. So please describe about the strategy to grow to that level and properly support your services.
Sure, it's a great question. So there are really 2 avenues in which we would be generating revenue. The first is from direct sales, where we're building out a sales team to support those revenue goals. But the second is partnerships, and that's where we see a lot of the volume coming from. We're working with very large organizations that have over 100,000 customers that we're able to kind of penetrate and sell into. And that's where we're going to see, quite a bit of growth. But the other area that we anticipate growth is in global expansion. So starting next year, we're moving into Canada and the UK, and then we'll expand from there. And one of the things that we're doing is our chatbot is actually not built by AI very purposefully. It's AI is, generative. There's a lot of misinformation. It's not up to date. It can't handle the complexity of the field of law. But what we are doing is leveraging machine learning to train AI on our proprietary database to allow us to be more scalable, not just here in the US, but in other countries as well.
Great. Jocelyn, while the judges put their notes and their scores on the sheet, how can people find out more about Virtual HR?
Sure. Like everybody else, you can go to our website, www.virgilhr.com. You can also find us on LinkedIn, and I'll go ahead and put my LinkedIn URL in the chat as well.
Great. Thanks so much for being here. So that completes our round of pitches. This is my favorite part, judges. We get to clap for all the people that presented. Virtual clapping is so funny. I think it's great. The judges will now deliberate on the pitches you saw. So what I'd like to do, judges, grab the Zoom link in the chat. You guys head over. I'll come over in a second, but you guys can start talking so you can talk about the pitches. While they do this, if you haven't done so already, please visit the voting page now to make sure your vote gets cast for your favorite solution. The voting period will close in 10 minutes. Votes are being tallied in real time, and we will announce both the winner determined by the judges, who will move on to the next round, as well as the winner of the public vote after the judges' deliberation. Vote now using the link in the chat. In the meantime, Dawn Sheriffin, former SVP of People at Slack and current executive coach and fractional CPL, sat down with us to share her expertise on today's topic of HR operations. Please enjoy this insightful discussion while the judges deliberate.
Hello and welcome to the SHRM Labs Fireside Chat Series as part of our 2024 Better Workplaces Challenge Cup. I'm Nell Hellam, a Workplace Innovation Specialist here at SHRM Labs, and I'll be your host for this short series. As the Better Workplaces Challenge Cup brings together the brightest minds in HR tech and workplace tech startups, our Fireside Chat Series serves as a complementary space where industry leaders can share their expertise, experiences, and insights with our global audience. So today we're honored to have Dawn Sheriffin joining us for a discussion on today's topic of HR operations. Dawn, welcome to the stage, and thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So before we begin, I'd love if you could just tell the audience a little about you, yourself, and your background.
Sure. My name is Dawn Sheriffin. I live in the Bay Area. I've been in HR operations, actually working in HR for about 20 years. I most recently was with a company called Slack, which maybe you use, maybe you hate it, maybe you love it. And we grew it through 150 people through TPO, through the second largest Silicon Valley acquisition ever to Salesforce. And after all of that was about 7 years, I was tired. So I decided to take a break and have been doing my own coaching and consulting business with lovely success since then.
Awesome. Well, welcome, Dawn. So great to have you here. I think all of us, if not all, most of us should be familiar with Slack and use it in our day-to-day lives. So really cool having you here and to share your perspective on today's topic. So I guess we'll get right into it. So, when thinking about HR ops, of course, that encompasses many daily HR activities and operations and tasks. One of which, kind of makes me think of business processes, right? And effective change management is crucial when implementing business process improvements. So I just wanted to get your thoughts, how can organizations ensure that changes to HR processes are effectively communicated, adopted, and sustained across the organization?
Yeah, so the first thing I would say is a lot of times people want to solve a problem with the process, and that might work, but also get really clear on what is it that you're trying to solve. What are you trying to accomplish? What will success look like? Why are we changing? Because anytime you ask an employee population, even if it's just a little thing, to do something different, it's a tax on the organization, right? So they have to learn something new. Then you want to get clarity on the timing of the change and expectations of what's going to happen with the change. Is it for every role? Is it for some roles? Who's going to be accountable for this change? And then who has decision rights, right? So a lot of times I've worked in places where it's really through a really lovely, big-hearted intention. Everybody wants to be informed. Everybody wants to have a voice. that's fine, but somebody needs to make the decision that we're going to make the change, and this is what it is, and this is the person that's also going to stand behind the change. And changes can be good too, right? So just making sure that there's a lot of clarity there. Next thing I'll say is say it multiple times. You can say like, oh, we're changing our open enrollment date from April 1st to May 1st. And people, it will go over their head. I think there's a rule that says you have to say something at least 3 times for people to hear you. Say it in Slack. Say it in an all hands meeting. Say it in your team meetings. Say it via carrier pigeon. Just say it a lot of different ways so that people hear you. And then also get feedback from the impacted parties. Did the change actually accomplish what you were hoping for? And would you call it a success? And then just iterate. And then take their feedback, incorporate, and iterate.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I guess kind of pivoting here to another aspect within HR operations, compliance. You know, that's another important aspect within HR ops. How can organizations ensure that they're staying compliant, especially with, you know, ever-changing regulations, especially in a global context, right? And what role can technology play in this?
Yeah, so gosh, whether it's minimum wage amounts or what a definition of a contractor is or any of those things, so many things for HR to be thinking about. The first thing I would say is decide if you're an organization that wants to lead with compliance. Now, I'm not saying go out and break the law, but you know, there's some gray in some of these things. And sometimes there's a window to, you need to implement it by 2026, for example. So are you going to do that on the last day or are you going to do it earlier? What does that gain you? What does that look like? And so invest in the work. And that means making it someone's full-time job if you can, right? I mean, I know not every place has the luxury of doing that, but there's so many changes. And especially if you're in multiple countries or multiple states, like if it's not somebody's full-time job, it can get really easy to get overlooked. And then you can find yourself kind of vulnerable to fines or just lack of compliance. And it's okay if not everybody knows everything about every country. So at Slack and other companies I've worked at, we were in multiple countries that I had never worked in before. If you're doing work in Switzerland, for example, is this Italian law? Is it Swiss law? Is it German law? Is it French law? Like it's kind of a combo of all of those things. So it's an opportunity to learn, which I think is really cool for your team or for you and your team. But hiring someone to focus on a country or region might be really helpful. But let's say all of that, you're like, oh, Dawn, we're just like a 50-person team and like, we're not doing all that stuff. Like, what can you do to help me? I would say a couple of things. Use your attorneys, your outside counsel. They should be sending you just email updates about what's changing. If you're on a platform like Gusto or Bamboo, they usually send an email multiple times when there's going to be a change, or they'll send you just like a fun fact and compliance law. Make sure you're using that. You can also use your general counsel if you have someone at your company. And there's many also different platforms that you can dial into if you want to. There's some companies now that you can just outsource your policy handbook to and all of your compliance concerns. So it depends on your size, your scale, and how much you really want to learn and do it yourself.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, I guess, you know, thinking about now data analytics, it seems to be growing in importance, not only within HR operations, but just in the world of work in general. How can organizations use people analytics to gain insights into their workforce, make data-driven decisions? Hopefully that can help optimize their HR processes.
Yeah, so I say with love, I don't think it's increasing in importance. I think it's just important. I think that for a long time, there weren't the platforms, the tools, or even the skill set for HR people to, or even the expectation for HR people to bring analytics or data to the boardroom or to an executive team meeting. I think maybe for the last, in my world, 20 years, it's just kind of like a table stakes. You better be bringing data and analytics to what's going on. So you're not going to lead a business without data and insight. You're not going to lead a people strategy without data and insights. You can't run before you walk. So let's say that you don't have it. Let's say like, oh, I meant to do that, but I've just been too busy. Happens to all of us. So the first thing is you can't run before you walk. So make sure you have a good HR system and you have clean data. So then you can design insights. I've seen a lot of teams and companies go and do all this work for analytics, and then they realize that their data is not clean. And what I mean by that is like it's outdated, or they didn't capture all the categories they wanted to capture. And so it's just like garbage in, garbage out. Data insights are used for engagement, rewards, recruiting. Most people probably do that. The recruiting is probably where you start. Most people start. But think about how you could use data for headcount planning or skill gap training. That could be a game changer, especially in the age of AI, when some roles or skills may become less relevant. And so what might that look like for being able to move people into different roles and think about how they could still continue to support the company?
Sorry to cut that short, but you can watch the video in its entirety using the link in the chat. And we'd like to, one more time, give a hand to both our judges and all the companies that participated today. Come on, it's the only time you get to do this. Other Zoom meetings are boring, I'm telling you. As we mentioned at the beginning, we would have a people's choice and a judge's choice. And for the first time in all 5 segments, we have someone who has won both. So congratulations to eLocker, who was both the people's choice and the judge's choice. And they will be moving ahead in the competition to our semifinals. Please note that you'll get to hear from the top 3 finalists from the first 2 rounds in a special episode of our Workplace Tech Spotlight in June. We hope to see you there. I will be there for sure. Thank you to the judges again and the participants, and thank you all for attending. Please note that this event qualifies for 2 PDCs towards your SHRM CP or SCP certification. The code to use, which will come up on the screen here in a second, is 24-MMCCD. We'll be back in 2 weeks for the semifinals on Tuesday, May 21st. Please visit our website, which we are posting in the chat, to stay informed and register to attend our future events. We hope you can join us once again, both for the semifinals and then for the finals in SHRM Annual in Chicago in June. Have a great day, everybody, and we will see you soon.